What's going on, St. Francis? My name is Dr. Lawrence Deck, and I'm a graduate of St. Francis High School, graduating in 1996, probably many years before most of you were born. When I attended St. Francis, I don't recall there being any celebration of Black history or heritage. So this represents a pretty significant shift. So as I was saying, I graduated in 96, and when I attended the school, there was about 1,750 students, and we graduated about 450, and of that, there might have been a handful of African American students. So, just off the top of my head, maybe 12 or 15 students of color. I'm not sure if that's still the same, but when you grow up in a system or in an environment where there's not a lot of people of color, that kind of has an impact on the way that you see yourself and the way that you see the world. And my situation maybe was a little bit different as well, because I was adopted into a white family when I was 6 years old. So I grew up with primarily a Caucasian culture, and so some of the things related to race I maybe was blind to. I went away to university in California in 1996, so I played football for Fresno State, and when I was there I got kind of enriched with Black culture because there's a much higher proportion of African American students and individuals living in California. And so I started to really learn about myself, because prior to that, most of my kind of understanding about being an African American came from watching movies and rap videos. And if we think about the type of movies that were out about around that time, most of them had portrayed people of color kind of negatively. So we think about movies like Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society, or rap groups like NWA. These are kind of the people that framed how Black people behaved or how they were. And other than that, you had films about athletes, and so those were kind of the two places that you could see yourself, either as this kind of gangster or as an athlete. Fortunately for me, I kind of fit into the athletes section there because I was quite gifted at that time. So after I attended university at Fresno State, I went on to play professional football in the CFL. I was drafted as the 9th overall pick to the Calgary Stampeders, and played there for a few years and won a Grey Cup in 2001. Realizing that football was a fairly short window, I took it upon myself to return to school and finish a master's degree, and then eventually a PhD in forensic psychology. So currently I work as a forensic psychologist. I am a part owner in a local psych firm here in Calgary. We also have a clinic in Edmonton, Red Deer, and Toronto as well. And so we work primarily with the public service or first responders, so police, EMS, RCMP. And prior to that, I worked as a forensic psychologist within the jail system, working both in youth corrections and adult corrections. And I think that this is a bit of a complicated question, but I'm hopeful that things will continue to change. But people really have to be aware and knowledgeable about the intersection between all the different systemic systems. So the social system, the justice system, the financial systems, because until we have a really good understanding about how the laws kind of maintain institutional racism, we're not going to really be able to create a lot of change. If we're able to respond to the situations that come upon us rather than reacting to them, I think that there's a great possibility for us to be able to share our gifts and create equality within this country. So in 1872, Elijah's patent for the automatic lubricating device he designed for train engines was approved. 23 years ago, McCoy was born in Ontario to his parents who had fled slavery. His family soon returned to the United States and settled in Michigan 4 years later. From a young age, McCoy had been fascinated with moving parts and mechanics. At 15 years of age, his parents arranged for him to travel to Scotland for an apprenticeship in mechanical engineering. He returned to the United States as a certified mechanical engineer, but was unable to secure work despite his qualifications. Because of racial barriers, skilled professions were not available to African Americans at that time. Instead, McCoy took a job as a fireman and oiler for the Michigan Central Railroad. After meticulously observing the inefficiencies of the existing system of lubricating the axles of trains, McCoy invented a lubricating cap that distributed oil evenly over the engine moving parts. His invention not only allowed trains to be oiled while still in motion, but also saved passengers and freight trains from frequent maintenance stops. By the end of his career, Elijah had registered over 50 patents and generally improved railroad business. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to your school, and hopefully you learn a lot from this Black History Month.